Hints of a coming war. Chinese leader Xi Jinping urging the military to deepen war and combat planning on Thursday.
向东部战区全体官兵致以诚挚的问候。
According to Chinese state media Xinhua News, that's to increase the chances of winning an actual war. Xi is calling on his troops to safeguard China's sovereignty and territory.
Russia having started a war in Europe, China close to starting a war in Asia. We are furiously trying to prevent that second war so that it does not engulf the world.
This comes as U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen arrived in Beijing for talks aimed at easing tensions between the U.S. and China. At the same time, Beijing's talk of combat readiness is happening amid great uncertainty. Xi spoke with troops while inspecting the Eastern Theater Command, a branch of China's military. While there, Xi said the world has entered a new period of turmoil, saying the military must dare to fight.
If the Chinese Communist Party wins, then yes, we will be in wars pretty much forever.
Xi has also upped the rhetoric when it comes to Taiwan, vowing to take back the island by force if necessary. Communist China views Taiwan as part of its own territory, that's despite having never ruled it. China has routinely sent fighter jets into Taiwan's air defense identification zone, ramping up war games in the area following then U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan last August.
If they win the war over Taiwan, they will start waging wars against all democracies eventually. If we win the war over Taiwan by simply deterring and not fighting it, then we can perhaps preserve some semblance of peace and prevent our children from having to be drafted and sent off to multiple wars.
The U.S. recently greenlit $440 million in arms sales to Taiwan, and that's just part of a weapons deal for the island valued at over $1 billion. It's part of Washington's so-called porcupine strategy, aiming to raise the costs and expected losses to China should it...
Shalom. First thing and
period
foremost,
of turmoil.
Praise and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahawashi, Ba'ashem B'Kakadash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise in the gospel of all left not the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahawashi, wherever it may be. This is just a quick lesson going into the Third World War. It says the next war will engulf the world. That's why it's called World War. Okay. This war, well, technically, World War III has started, okay, during the time of the Cold War, which Cold War started roughly years after World War II, going into the collapse of the Soviet Union or the USSR, which is known as the former Soviet Union. Okay, you had the Gulf War, you had Desert Storm, you had all these little proxy wars in between a major Cold War, which is part of that third woe. But see, things are heating up now because now you got the other nations like China and Russia, Iran, Libya, Egypt forming an alliance against the Western nations, NATO, EU. Now, this whole big ordeal that China is starting a war in Asia and then Russia starting a war in Europe, when the fact is you fucking Edomites that's starting a war. See, the Chinese wouldn't have to go to war with their own people, which is Taiwan, which is basically the same people, just an island off China. But basically, they wouldn't go to war with their own people if they didn't sell out to you. See, the reason why the Chinese are so pissed off at Taiwan is because they're like, wait a minute, you're the same people, but yet you chose to enact democracy because you took bribes and payouts, you know, with the setting up of central banks, and you want the benefits that the West has to offer, which is totally treason to your country. Same thing with the war in Ukraine. Ukraine belongs to Russia. What the fuck are you doing over there? Dictating, saying, and calling shots, man. Okay, particular people of the regime of the Ukraine signing with NATO and NATO troops, and you the West is getting spanked over there. Okay, don't let them fool you and make it seem like that the Russians are losing. The Russians ain't even using half. They're not even using a third of that high power weapons, and they're putting a halt to you NATO troops, man. Okay, because I believe that the American troops have been deployed to like the borders or something. I don't know if the America is totally in the Ukraine yet, but I've been hearing stories that they may be in the region, which I do know that because I know when it kicked off last year, you had certain Jakes that was deployed to Poland. You see what I'm saying? In particular, NATO countries or EU countries, just to be on standby in case this tension escalates. But like this guy was saying, he was like, look, man, we want to contain it because eventually if we don't, we're going to have to draft our daughters and sons and daughters. And they're telling you straightforward that there will be another draft. And I was looking into that the other day, too, because you have a lot of people that's not willingly signing up for the selective service anymore. They're not willingly signing up for it because they realize, like, what are you fighting a war for? It's stupid. We're fighting a war basically for your own selfish benefit, that you're going over there and you're taking nations, the resources, all in the name of democracy and peace and freedom, to put nations in slavery and steal their resources, and you're sending us over there to die at our fucking expense. And half the military now, they're not even able to fight because of the simple fact their minds are not right. Half the men want to be women, half the women want to be men, half the women in the military, they only doing it for the benefits and the bag and to put out a few fucking TikTok videos driving a Hellcat, showing some fat ass and some tight ass fatigues. That's what they doing. They're not looking forward to fighting the country or going to war. Most people that sign up for the military in this day and age, they don't really think that they're going to actually go and fight because they feel that America is unpenetrable. Yeah, I'm going to sign up for the military, but I ain't going to war. The fuck you mean? If you sign up for the selective service, that means that you have a duty and an oath to state and to your country to fight a war, even if it means your life. So a lot of you Jakes, man, that think that this shit is a game, you're getting ready to be drafted, man. Okay, Putin is not playing. Putin is like, look, man, we tired of negotiating with the West. We're not doing nuclear talks. We're not doing any of that. We're not giving up any weapons. This is what's going to happen. Unless you back off and expose your dealings here in Ukraine, we just going to continue to put hell on you. That's why the U.S. is trying to avoid a direct conflict, all-out assault on Russia, because they know end game. And on top of that, Esau wants to hold on to his kingdom to continue to oppress the people. See, he cares more about oppressing people in his country than to so-called making the world a better place. You know what I'm saying? But me personally, I can't wait for the first fucking missile to get shot out. I can't wait, man. But we know that's not going to happen until the MOTB is mandated. So this is the book of Habakkuk 2, and I'm going to start at verses. I'm going to read this in the New Living Translation. All right. And it reads here, I will climb upon my watchtower. And what is a watchtower? Watchtower is a post that you guard. Okay, you watch for the impending doom of the events. In the ancient world, you had watchmen that sat upon the walls of Israel to let them know of an impending invasion from an impending invasion from an opposing nation. Like if we was to saw the Philistines was to come upon our walls, we would sound a trumpet of war, and then we would go to war to defend our fortress. So you have a watchtower. Now the prophets are the watchmen, which we always have been, but we're watching for the prophecies and we're warning Jerusalem to warn them to escape the coming hell and destruction. Okay, but Jake, they don't take heed to that. Okay, because they're too indulged in the luxuries of America. Okay, you ask your average nigga, and you got some Jake out there that's aware. Like these TikTok, like for whatever reason, TikTok has been a big fad for promoting end time events or watching world news and shit like that. And hey, thank the prophets, man. Okay, we the ones that started that because we were teaching out on the streets. Now everybody want to be a fucking prophet now. You know, like this video here I was looking at. This is by, what's this guy's name? Javion the Reporter, right?
Pelosi's visit to Taiwan last
Right?
August.
If they win,
Oh, shut up.
One of the most important.
It's been a while since we held one of these talks.
All right,
See these
now,
dark clouds around me?
This is the guy, Javion the Reporter, I'm assuming, right? I'm assuming this is him. Well, no, this is True News Network. So select.
That's for yeah.
Actually, Javante. This is the guy, Javante, right? Now, you will ask yourself this, okay, he's reporting on news, but do he know he's an Israelite? Do he understand the prophecies? Or is he just trying to get a fucking a following? Because, see, you guys, what you're going to realize is that Even though you're putting out all this good information, you're only doing it for the prophets, because we can actually take this information and extrapolate it and filter it through the scriptures. While you niggas are doing it to get clout and to make it seem like you're deep, we're doing it because this is what the Lord commanded us to do. Okay? But it says, I will stand at my guard post. There I will wait to see what the Lord says and how he will answer my complaint. Because we're complaining. We're asking the Lord to bring judgment to America because we're tired of living in a wicked and perverse society. We're tired of being oppressed. We're tired of the being at the bottom, man. It's stupid. It says, then the Lord said unto me, write my answer plan upon tables so that a runner that can carry the correct message to others. And this is what we're doing. Okay, we're carrying the message and we're displaying the message and we're speaking on it, and Jake is waking up to it. And they're going out there and they're teaching it. It says, this vision is for a future time, and we're in them times now. It describes the end, and it will be fulfilled. It says, if it seems slow in coming, wait patiently, for it will surely take place. It would not be delayed. Okay, so World War III, like the scriptures say, behold, the third will coming quickly. We're there. Okay, it's just a matter of time before these nations decide to make a big financial move. Like now, I believe you have the BRICS nations that's getting ready to go online with the global currency, or with their currency, which is going to combat or challenge the dollar superiority. Okay, and the West is worried about that, so they have to go to war. They're going to go to war behind a failing dollar as well. I believe that's what's going to escalate it, because if you look at World War II, they went to war where America got into war at the last half of it, because for the simple fact they wanted to establish order in the world according to their standards and to make the US dollar the centralized currency, and down the line it becoming a fiat currency, which was taken off the gold standard during the 71-72 administration with Nixon. So it's the same thing here. They're going to go to war behind a failing dollar because they got to replace it. They like, look, man, we got to fill the void, or if not, then basically the West, you have to defend. You're gonna have to defend your status in the world, and that's what it's about. Okay, you're gonna have to defend your status as being the global dictator. Okay, because when the dollar is pushed out, that's gonna force America, and that's gonna force Amalek to make a move. Because honestly speaking, Amalek is the reason behind the U.S. dollar. Okay, they're the ones that established the Federal Reserve, the Fed now. Okay, the World War. The Amalek is behind every fucking war, man. That's why I said the least of the flock should draw them out. All right, but it says, look at the proud, and they trust in themselves, and their lives are crooked, but the righteous will live by their faithfulness to the Most High. It says, wealth is treacherous, and the arrogant are never at rest, and they open their mouths as wide as a grave. And like death, they are never satisfied, but in their greed, they have gathered up many nations right through these central banks, man. And that's one reason why these nations are coming against America. Okay, you got the NATO and the EU. Okay, that's under the currency of the dollar. Okay, or the Western currencies, which a lot of the NATO and EU members, they're getting ready to succeed from America too, because they understand that the dollar is dying out. That's why you have places like Russia, China, Brazil. You got, what is it? I think it's, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and Saudi Arabia, if I'm not mistaken, the BRICS nations. But let me look that up, man. I always get that. I seem to get that confused more often than not. This fucking bitch, that woman. BRICS nations. South Africa, yeah, there you go. It says BRICS represents Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Okay, now 2023. It says, and a growing number of countries have expressed interest in joining. Okay, so at this point, I think Saudi Arabia, they're in there. Saudi Arabia, Iran. It says we're in talks of forging closer links with BRICS, block of major emerging economies. Wow. Yep, and they're not the only ones, man. Saudi Arabia, which is the United Arab Emirates, Cuba, Democratic Republic of Congo, Comoros, Gabon, Kyrgyzstan, all sent representatives to Cape Town for so-called friends of BRICS. Talks an official program showed, man, meaning that they are interested in joining. Egypt, Argentina, Bangladesh, Indonesia were participating virtually. Yeah, so they already have something that's set up to combat the NATO and the EU, or they got something set up to combat this dollar. And I believe that's one reason why they're going to go to war behind it, because once the U.S. dollar finally is collapsed and they set up this new digital system, world economies that dependent on the U.S. dollar is going to go into shambles. And America's going to have to defend that, because basically nobody is taking the bait anymore. So they basically going to have to fight their way to get these other nations and force this digital shit, or force this U.S. currency down their throats, and they're not going to have it. Okay, they're tired of living under your rule. They're like, fuck you and your money. But that's that's a very possibility on how the Third World War would become a global thing. It just makes sense. The money. Okay. It says here, but soon their captors would taunt them, and they will mock them, saying, what sorrow awaits you, thieves. Now that you would get what you deserve, and you've become rich by extortion, okay? And that's right. America has been extorting nations since day one. It says, but how much longer can this go on? It says, suddenly your debtors would take actions. All these nations were in debt to you. They will turn on you and take all you have while you standing trembling helpless. Because you have plundered many nations, now all the survivors will plunder you, and you've committed murder throughout the countryside and filled the towns with violence. But what sorrow awaits you who build these big houses and money with gain dishonestly, and that's through that Federal Reserve, man. Okay, that's a fucking debt note. We're all in debt because we're under this guisemanship of this currency. It's a debt note. It says you believe your wealth will buy you security. Titanic, I'm gonna quote it again, when that dude Cal Hockley, which was a steel tycoon worth millions at that time, he basically gave the guard, he basically probably put some money in his pocket, man. At that time in 1912, 20, 30 G's was probably like damn near a couple of hundred bands. And he took the money and threw it back in and said, your money can't save you more than it can save me. That's why it says here, by your wealth, you believe you can buy security, but putting your family's nest beyond the reach of danger. But by murders you've committed, you have shamed your name and forfeited your lives. So the very stones in the walls will cry out against you, and the beams in the ceilings echo the complaint. Everybody's coming against you, man. It says, what sorrow awaits you who built cities with money gained through murder and corruption. Damn. It says, has not the Lord of the heavens armies promised that the wealth of the nations will turn to ashes? They work so hard, but all in vain. For as the waters fill the sea, the earth will be filled with an awareness of the glory of the Lord. But what sorrow awaits you who make your neighbors drunk, man? You forced the cup upon them so you can gloat over their shameful nakedness. And that's what you did to the nation of Israel. Okay, you gloated over us, and to this day you make a mockery of us, calling us Negroes, Hispanics, colored people. But it says, but soon it will be your turn to be disgraced. So come and drink and be exposed, and drink from the cup of the Lord's judgment, and all your glory should be turned to shame, man. So Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is getting ready to bring the nations upon you, man. Okay, you're getting ready to be spoiled, E. And World War III is going to be the war to end all wars, because it's going to be global. Peep this. It says, and the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before the Most High, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose at the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. By the way, it's drying up, and allegedly they found like a mountain worth of gold or some shit under the Euphrates. Don't know how true it is, but it is drying up. So that's how you know the prophecies are being fulfilled. But it says, and the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay a third part of men. Okay, that's you Edomites, man. Okay, every Edomite that's in America that hasn't died from the skirmishes, from the wars, from the invasions, from the martial law, you will definitely be destroyed when those nuclear missiles hit. In any part of Esau's western hemisphere, any places like Poland, Morocco, Poland, Spain, France, the UK, Canada, any of you Edomites that survive the skirmishes and the coming hell on earth before the missiles, in whatever country that the missiles touch down, you Edomites will be the primary target, and you will be destroyed. Isaiah the 34th chapter. Because the third part of men is talking about the Edomites, the nation of the Edomites, because you have three classifications of men. The sons of the Most High, which is the Israelites, which is us. The sons of the wicked, which is you Edomites. And the sons of men, which are the heathen nations. So men are broken up into three categories. And you are the third part of men, which is you Edomites, man. And the number of the horsemen were 200,000. Those are the missiles. Okay, those are not angels. Those are talking about the nuclear missiles, man. Well, you like, how you gonna have two? Ain't no such thing as 200 million warheads. Well, if you got a little Satan that can carry up to 20 warheads and you shoot 1,000 of them shits out, I mean, this can easily hit that number easily. And think about all the warheads that they got on these particular nuclear weapons. And it ain't gonna all be nuclear weapons. You're gonna have different types of weapons that's gonna hit here. But the predominantly will create nuclear impact, man. Like that movie Oppenheimer is coming out next. I'm excited to go see it. You know what I'm saying? We bought our tickets early and that shit is already packed. You know, me and the brothers are going to see it. And hey, that's gonna be a hell of a movie, man. They're gonna show you the peak power of this man, of his pride, man. You know, but it says, and I heard the number of them, and thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them sat on having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstones. And the heads of horses were the heads of lions, and out of their mouth issued fire, smoke, and brimstone, which proves those are the missiles. Okay, if you look up a nuclear warhead and the functioning of a warhead, how it works, how it penetrates, how the nuclear guiding system or the GPS on those warheads are operated, this pretty much breaks it down in the best case scenario. Okay, this is what he had to use 1900 years ago when he saw this prophecy in the vision. He didn't have the term nuclear warhead. So he wrote what he described, or he wrote what he saw. Okay, but if he was to translate this into today's language, we would basically say, oh, this is talking about nuclear warheads or weapons of mass or weapons of destruction. It says, but by these three were a third part of men killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issues out of their mouth. And that's predominantly talking about in America, because a lot of you Edomites are going to get straight up burnt up here, right along with the 2/3 of our people. For the power is in their mouth and their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents and had heads, and with them they do hurt. Of course they do. Your ass is going to be on fire, burning alive in a lake of fire. Okay, which is not no goddamn hell that you die and go to. The lake of fire is literally going to be a place on the planet Earth. Okay, which is hell, hellfire, but it ain't a place you go to be tormented after you die. That's not biblical, okay? And that's an unmerciful God. It says, but the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of their works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols and gold and silver and brass and stone or any wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk. Neither repented they of murders, nor of their sorceries, nor their fornication, nor their thefts. Because when they see the destruction, they're not going to repent to the Lord, because these are talking about people in different countries. Other Israelites, they're going to see it and be amazed at it, but they going to like, oh, what that got to do with us? Shit, you know? They ain't got nothing to do with us. Shit, that's America. America's fucked up. So in their mindset, they ain't got nothing to do with them. So they going to continue life as natural. But, you know, all be it all. So I'm going to end it there, giving all praises and glory and honor is due to Yahweh, Ba'ashimi, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Kakwadash. And with that, Shalom and Abba, Shalom.